All right. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about my equity research report that I did for Mueller Industries back during my sophomore year's summer. And I chose to write my Econ 1 final paper about Mueller Industries and how copper impacted their stock growth, how Mueller chose to handle price fluctuations with pass-throughs to customers. Were they able to pass through to the customers? And how fluctuations impacted their profits just in general. So, some key topics that I talked about in this report, a lot of them obviously don't involve copper to a large extent, but copper is a huge part of their business. They make pipes, HVAC components, and refrigeration systems, basically anything fabricated copper. And when copper prices go up, their costs rise. And if they couldn't pass those costs through to the customers, their margins shrink. So, to protect themselves from that a little bit, they keep a large stockpile of copper on their balance sheet. Their inventory is huge, and they also have a ton of cash on their balance sheet. We'll get into that a little bit in this video. So, impacts of a US recession, obviously, during the time when I wrote this report, there was a little slight rebound, but the S&P was definitely in correction territory. So, a lot of investors were not just worried about Mueller, they were worried about the entire US economy. And if the US economy is bad, that's bad for Mueller because they sell copper and we need to build a lot of homes, build a lot of buildings, and just a lot of building for copper to be strong in the United States. Okay, these are a bunch of financial metrics. They're not too relevant to this discussion. And then, yeah, okay. So leadership. Leadership is really strong. Their CEO, Greg Christopher, has a lot of money in Mueller, a lot of great alignment there. So, and my boss was friends with Greg Christopher, so that's kind of how I got placed on this project. And they have about $900 million of cash on hand, which is great because this allows them to keep operations running smoothly, even if copper prices stay high. And they can also use that money to buy back copper during low prices. If the market for copper goes down, Mueller can replenish their balance sheets with a lot of copper. They've got the money to do it. So I think that's great that they've got that. Same thing, kind of low debt, high cash. If they had high debt, low cash, it would be kind of vice versa. They wouldn't really be able to control when they could add copper onto their balance sheet or take it off. So I think this kind of falls into the same bucket as the page above. All right. Analyst opinions. So analysts generally like Mueller's long-term strategy, even with the uncertainty in copper prices, because it kind of acts as a hedge. They don't really have to rely on copper prices as much as you would think they would, although it can impact their profits in the short term. Some analysts think that prices will drop over the next few years, which theoretically would be good and bad for Mueller. Their short-term profits would be weaker, and but they'd be able to buy back their stockpile a little bit and replenish. And others worry that Mueller's efficiency has been declining, which that would hurt them regardless of copper prices. All right. Yeah, so this is market price and copper price correlation. As you can see, there's a strong correlation between the market price and copper prices, market cap of Mueller and copper prices up until about September of 2022, and that's when stocks start to rally. And that and Mueller, I think, got swept under the rug with that whole ordeal, and people decided to buy back after a quite a big scare in the S&P in 2022. So I think that sudden jump was mainly due to just the market as a whole, less of Mueller's standpoint. People just wanted to buy equities again. All right. And the base case for Mueller would be the copper prices stay around the same level, which is a little bit below what their all-time highs, and Mueller's profit margins might shrink a little bit because of that, but definitely won't collapse due to their strong balance sheet. And home construction will continue happening, which is good for the overall market of copper, which will keep copper prices stable. So, and the key question is, can Mueller keep passing these stronger copper prices to the customer? And I think the answer is yes, because they're a competitive firm, and I think the market has deemed them a competitive firm based on their market cap performance to relative to copper. Yeah, the worst case would be that we actually do hit recession, people stop building, no copper's being sold in the United States, and regardless of how strong Mueller is in terms of their product, no one wants to buy copper, then they won't be able to sell it unless it's at a significantly lower price, which is probably lower their than the price to break even on the product. So it would be pretty hard for them to be profitable during that. All right, and then I think that's about it. These are not important to the project. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it.